morning and a very warm welcome to this week's final edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. As always, we're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. This morning too, we have details on today's latest top local and international news items coming right up, so stay tuned with us right throughout. Well, this morning's Breakfast Rundown, we will be starting with details on a tragic shooting that took place in Kuliyapitiya last night. Now, a suspect has been arrested in connection with a shooting that occurred last night in Magulagama, Hettipola, Kuliyapitiya. A 9-year-old child lost her life in the shooting while her grandmother sustained injuries. And according to the police, several residents of the area had opened fire at a herd of wild boars last night, and during which the two individuals were caught in the gunfire. The child lost her life tragically, and the grandmother sustained a gunshot wound to her leg and was admitted to the Kuliyapitiya Teaching Hospital for further treatment. Let's take a look. Well, what you just saw were visuals of the tragic shooting that resulted in the loss of one life last night in Kuliyapitiya. Let's move on to more local news now. Today marks the second day of the debate on the third reading of the appropriation bill, also known as the committee stage debates. And during today's parliamentary session, the expenditure heads related to the Ministry of Defence as well as the Ministry of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs will be taken into debate. And the committee stage debate is set to continue for 19 days, spanning over 4 Saturdays as well, from the 27th of February to the 21st of March. And the vote on the third reading of the appropriation bill is scheduled for 6 p.m. on the 21st of March. Now, something that the general public has been discussing quite a bit is the shortage of coconuts in the market, as well as the extreme high prices of coconuts. And the Coconut Development Authority of Sri Lanka does have an explanation to offer in this regard. The Coconut Development Authority says that coconut prices are expected to return to previous prices in May 2025. Now, Chairman of the authority, Shantha Ranatunga, noted that businesses authorized to import coconuts and coconut products will begin imports in the coming days. He said that the Coconut Research Institute of Sri Lanka has estimated the expected reduction of harvest for the first 4 months of 2025 as 200 million coconuts. He added that permission has been granted to import coconut milk, coconut powder, as well as coconuts to bridge the gap created by this shortage of harvest. And in more local news now, the National Election Commission announced that the acceptance of applications for recognition as a recognized political party for the elections of 2025 will commence from today. Issuing a statement, the Commission stated that relevant applications will be accepted until the 28th of March at 3 p.m. Applications can be submitted by a registered post or in person by the secretary of the respective party to the National Election Commission of Sri Lanka. This application form can be downloaded from the Election Commission's official website elections.gov.lk and is also available at district election offices as well as the Election Secretariat. Well, if you enjoy looking at the night sky, if you enjoy looking at the stars in the night sky, our next news item might be particularly interesting to you. A rare celestial event will take place today, the 28th of February 2025, where 7 planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, will align in the evening sky. According to NASA, this extraordinary phenomenon will be visible in many countries, and a similar planetary alignment will not occur again until 2040. Among the aligned planets, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter and Mars will be visible to the naked eye, while Saturn, Uranus and Neptune will require a telescope for observation. Meanwhile, the Astronomical Society of the University of Colombo has organized a night sky observation camp to witness this rare phenomenon. The head of the university's Department of Physics, Professor Therunee says that the observation session will take place at the sports ground of the University of Colombo today from 6:20 p.m. to 8 p.m. He adds that the event is open to both the university students as well as the general public. So if this story did interest you, feel free to join the University of Colombo at this observation session tonight. You can see 7 planets being aligned along the same line, which is a very rare celestial phenomenon indeed. Let's move on to more local news now. The National Building Research Organization has announced plans to modernize the 330 automated rain gauges currently installed across the island. Senior geologist at the Landslide Studies Division, Dr. Gamini Jayatissa, said that several measures have been taken to enhance measures for identifying risk situations faced by the general public during heavy rainfall. He said that currently there does exist a mechanism to measure rainfall to a particular region in real time by utilizing these automated rain gauges that have been installed across the country and issue landslide warnings if required. He also went on to note that plans are in place to increase this number of rain gauges to 480 and that this would make the process of issuing early warnings for landslides more efficient as well as increase the accuracy of data gathered during this process. And now finally on to the weather news update for this morning. According to the Met Department, showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, north central, eastern, southern and Uba provinces and in the Matale and Nuwara Eliya districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere over the island during the afternoon or night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the Uba province and in the Batiklo, Ampara, Matale, Nuwara Eliya, Polonnaruwa and Hambantota districts. Fairly heavy showers above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamo provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. Fairly strong winds of 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the northern, north central, eastern and northwestern provinces and in the Matale, Nuwara Eliya and Hambantota districts. Let's move on to news overseas now. Yesterday on the Breakfast Rundown as well, we brought you details on a potential mineral deal between the United States as well as Ukraine. This morning there is a follow-up to that news item. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he will meet with President Trump today to sign a preliminary deal giving the United States a share of critical raw materials. However, says that he wants guarantees of peace and security in any final agreement. In a Wednesday evening video address, Zelensky said it's important that US support is not stopped. He also said that strength is needed on the path to peace. But the US may be unwilling to offer much more security support in return that Ukraine has sought as it fights a 3-year full-scale Russian invasion. President Trump said the two leaders will sign a very big agreement, casting it as a way to compensate the US for billions of dollars in aid to Ukraine. Trump said at a meeting with his cabinet on Wednesday that they have been able to make a deal where they are going to get their money back and that they're going to get a lot more money in the future as well. He said US taxpayers should not be footing the bill of Ukraine. Speaking earlier in Kyiv, Zelensky said a framework deal with the US on Ukraine's critical raw materials was nearing completion, though key details were still under negotiation. Let's move on to a final international news item for this morning. Now, UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has met with US President Donald Trump during his first visit to the White House. Starmer's meeting with Trump this week comes at a crucial moment for the war in Ukraine and the future of the NATO alliance. President Donald Trump said at a joint press conference with Sir Keir Starmer that a trade deal between the US and the UK could also also happen very quickly. Speaking during the Prime Minister's visit to the White House, Trump envisaged a real trade deal which could see the UK avoid the kind of tariffs the president has been threatening on some of the US's other trading partners. The trip had been seen as a key moment in Sir Keir Starmer's premiership as he sought to influence Trump's decisions on certain topics, including Ukraine, as well as certain other trade deals. Sir Keir Starmer kicked off his White House visit by presenting President Donald Trump with a letter from King Charles, inviting him to an unprecedented second visit to the United Kingdom. Receiving a letter in front of cameras in the Oval Office, Trump said it would be a great honor and described the king as a wonderful man. Sir Keir said the offer of the second state visit was truly historic. Traditionally, US presidents have only been granted one state visit by the United Kingdom so far. And having confirmed that he would be accepting the invite, Trump, along with Sir Keir, took questions from reporters for 30 minutes. Let's take a look at what the two leaders had to say.
The tariffs are necessary because we've been treated very unfairly by many countries, including our friends, friend and foe. But we've been treated very unfairly in trade at levels that nobody's really ever seen before, and especially under the Biden administration, they really took advantage of the United States. I put massive tariffs on China during my 4 years. We had the best economy in the history of our country. Probably the best economy, maybe the best economy in the history of the world. And I used tariffs to even things up. And in particular with China, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars and we had no inflation. And it's a myth. It's a myth that's put out there by foreign countries that really don't like paying tariffs, and especially to even up. So we've been treated badly by a lot. We're using tariffs. And I find, and you just have to look at the numbers, but I find that it's not about inflation, it's about fairness, and the inflation for us has not existed, and I don't think it's going to exist. We're going to bring our car industry back, we're going to bring our chips back, we're going to bring so many things back to our country, including pharmaceuticals and drugs.
Look, we had a really good discussion, a productive discussion, a good discussion, as a result of which our teams are now going to be working together on an economic deal. Our teams are going to be working together on security in Ukraine. You mentioned Canada. I think you're trying to find a divide between us that doesn't exist. We're the closest of nations.
We've had great discussions on trade, and I think we're going to have a deal done rather quickly as it can be done. We're going to have something, I think, rather quickly. We expect to do that. Okay.
Well, that's a wrap of this Friday's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. Tomorrow marks the start of a weekend, of course, so I'll see you once again on Monday, the 3rd of March 2025, with more of the very latest from here at home and around the world. Until then, take care, have a wonderful day and weekend ahead.